What's up, everyone? Welcome to the 37th episode of the Boundless Business Podcast. As always, except last episode because I was not here, it's Larissa, Justine, and Nico. Team, what's up? Good morning. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
I don't know where this week went, guys. It's just a blur. But Justine, we're not here to talk about why this week went by so fast. What are we here to talk about?
Today we are talking about database reactivation and how to get the most out of the people that are currently in your database and how to reach out to people and get them back into your pipeline.
Awesome. Well, Justine, I know I've given you less than 24 hours on this topic, but do you want to tell us what database reactivation is and why it's important? Or is it?
I feel like you should handle that topic.
Nice little pass back. I love it. So database reactivation is pretty interesting. I mean, it was coined by, oh my goodness, I'm gonna forget about the guy's name. Oh my goodness. Hopefully it comes back. But anyway, it's not something that's relatively new, the way it's positioned has been. But basically, every single person has a multitude of people in their quote unquote database. And when we say database, it's just a list, right? So people we've reached out to that booked a call but never showed up, people that we sent a proposal to but ghosted, people who we sent a proposal to and they said they really wanted to work with us, but now's not the best time to do so. Or people that just straight up stopped working with you, or past clients. All of these are pretty interesting because they are what we call bottom of the funnel prospects. And for whatever reason, maybe their dog got sick and they didn't sign the doc, or maybe they changed companies or whatever that was. They were interested enough to get to a specific point, but then dropped off. And this could be happen to everyone in your pipeline. So top of the funnel, maybe you send a cool email, someone responded, but they never responded after that, right? That's less warm. And that's more on the prospecting lead gen side. But database reactivation, these people already have some type of context on you, your company, what you kind of stand for. And the goal here is pretty simple. Can we get them back on the phone and then see if we can help them? And if we can, let's close them. And the nice thing is there's a lot of elements that you kind of bypass, right? They already know you, somewhat like you and trust you if they got to a specific stage. And the best ways to do it is three mediums: email, text, call, right? Now you can throw a Loom in there and say that's kind of in the middle, but those are the three main ones that you can actually then contact them with a specific message. Larissa, before we go into mechanisms or anything like that, where have you seen people have these databases but don't really use?
Honestly, there's so many people. So a good place to start is always looking at your current network, maybe on, let's say, LinkedIn, people you've been connected with for a really long time, but you haven't talked to in a while. Those are good places to just kind of start a conversation up. Otherwise, in terms of leads that would probably be more warm, would be looking at your previous calendar. If you use something like Calendly or a similar software, you can go through all the calendar links that have been sent and booked, and start with those people. That's a really great place to look. Just generally, your email inbox is really great. Going through your CRM. And looking at maybe people that you'd marked as not a good fit or dead deals, or not closed in whatever way. Looking at those first, because those are ones that they got very close to the end. And maybe if they weren't a good fit before, they are now. Maybe you have a different product offering, or you're repositioning, or you have a different price point that might be more attractive to them. Or maybe they're just in a better position now. Maybe their business has changed. So it's always good to reach back out to those people and to keep that conversation going.
Yeah, absolutely. The only other one I would add in there is people have paid you money before. So in QuickBooks, right, they probably used an email to communicate with you, right? You can get these contact infos. And the biggest thing in the first step of any database reactivation is to start building this list. So Larissa had a ton of great ones. Check your CRM, your CMS, people are on your newsletter, people that jumped on the call with you, get all of that, dump it into a Excel and clean it up, right? Make sure that every column has the appropriate name. You don't want an email and someone's first name, right? So first name, email, phone number. And then honestly, from there, you're pretty much set to move to phase two, which phase two is cleaning, right? What's the stat, Larissa? 3 or 4 out of 5 businesses go bust in the first 3 years, something like that.
Yeah, I don't know the exact,
It's pretty high.
but it's honestly.
Yeah, and we want to account for that. And people move jobs and all that. So the biggest thing that we're going to do first is clean the data. Now, there's so many different um, deals out there right now. I was on AppSumo earlier today, and there's like a lot of email verifiers for like 50, $100 for lifetime deals. I don't know how good they are, but I mean that's pretty good. So a small $50 investment can clean this list and clean it forever, right? So what you want to do is clean the data, and what you're looking for is like bounce emails, because you don't want to craft something to someone that no longer at that company, or that the company's out of business or whatever. Once you do that, you want to move to stage 3, which is then drafting messaging or copy, if you're an agency that likes to use that lingo. You want to figure out who is where. So actually, I should go back to the first bucket, right? We kind of want to put the status of what they had. So you want first name, last name, email, phone number, if you have it, and then status. Was a proposal sent to them? Did they ghost you? Did they change companies? Like, you want to make notes of this. So after you clean their data, you have context to create messaging towards all these individuals. Now, typically these lists are pretty bulky, so you want to start with like the lowest hanging fruit. And Justine, out of all of these, what do you think is the lowest hanging fruit in like a list like this?
By lowest hanging fruit, do you mean like the easiest one to get back?
Mm-hmm.
Or I would say like people that have paid you before.
100%. Yeah, and the reason, like, guys, Justine handled it like a champ, because I did not prompt her that I was going to ask her any questions today. But yeah, if people have paid you money before, it's probably a good assertion that they'll probably pay you again in the future. Like, someone on this call really likes Starbucks, and someone has a tradition of getting Starbucks every Friday. Now, this person likes other coffee, but they've turned the Starbucks Friday thing into a habitual act, right? So as this individual sips their coffee, right? So I think this is a good time to say we also have a YouTube channel, the Get Boundless Media YouTube channel. So if you wanted to see who this individual was it Nico, was it Larissa, or was it Justine? Jump on over there, subscribe, and look at this 37th episode, and you'll know exactly who it is. A little incentive to follow our YouTube channel. But with that being said, coming back to what that means, yes, we can craft messaging to people who have bought from us in the past. And it could be as simple as a quick script saying, hey, first name, been a while since we've worked together. Just wanted to see if there's any way that I could be helpful or valuable, right? That could be a generic way. I like to really push my first lowest hanging fruit. So I like to send calls, or do calls, or send texts, right? Which is technically written. And I like to give them something before I ask for something. So Justine actually did this the other day, which I think was awesome. We have a past client, and she sent a actually Justine. I'll hand it over without saying the past client's name. What did you do?
Yeah, I noticed it was a national month for their industry. And so I thought that would be applicable. And so I made a quick graphic for them and sent it over saying, hey, we were thinking about you. I saw it was this national month, and here's a free graphic for you. Yeah.
It's like that simple, and we didn't prompt our amazing VP to do that, but she did it. Now, that's something that doesn't really cost a lot of money, or is like the most amount of effort, but there's meaning to that. So reactivating these individuals, like something like a bonus video, a piece of content that they can use, or something that's like measurable, will make it easier for the second thing that you want to do, which is then ask. So ask for referrals, or ask for if there's any additional work that you can do for them. We're in Q4. People have budgets, and usually they have to spend it. Otherwise, they lose it the following year. Q4 can be a great time for that. So if you do something like content, video production, explainer videos, there's something usually tangible in there. A lot of people are changing their agencies for Q1, right? This is a good place to get in there and remind them of the outcomes that you achieved while you were working together, and see if we can do that again in the future. Then you want to go from hottest, warmest to coldest, and frankly, like the Hail Marys, and change your copy to associate with these individuals, right? Here's the best part. You can do this every month, every 6 weeks, every quarter, every year. This is something that you can repeat, especially with people who bought from you in the past or were interested at the time. Maybe their business didn't need a new website at that time, but now they do. So whatever that is, or whatever you offer as an agency, you can do database reactivation. So I know I threw a lot at you guys. So if you have any questions, let's chat about that right now.
Yeah, I have a question. How does this play in conjunction with like your other lead gen efforts and cold outbound and stuff like that?
Yeah, it runs right in parallel with it. So we don't move anyone to a database reactivation if they are a new prospect or we haven't done business with them or anything like that. So this is, I mean, technically you can. We just call that prospecting. Database reactivation is just very specific. And what I look for is, have I talked to them? Like, been on a call, a Zoom, a text, whatever that is, but have I taken them off the platform where we originally connected? So if we connected on LinkedIn and then over email, they would be my database reactivation. But we connect over email and only email, and we never led to a call or anything like that. I wouldn't consider that like in a database reactivation. Larissa, I don't know if you have any other feedback on that.
I would definitely tie database reactivation leads into your content strategy as well. So it's a really good opportunity to be able to, like we kind of illustrated in the example with Justine earlier, it's a really good idea to say, something along the lines of, hey, I just thought this would actually be really valuable for you. We just posted this piece of content. Maybe it's a blog, maybe it's a free resource, maybe it's something like that. You can just, again, offer that as a freebie and just say, hey, I was just thinking about you and thought that this might be valuable to you. Have a great day. You can leave it as simple as that and kind of see if there's any response. Those are good opportunities to reconnect with these leads. I do think it's also worth noting that database reactivation, you don't want to use the same type of copy that you would use for like a typical like cold email or something like that. Again, these are people you've had a previous relationship with in one way or another. And being able to understand the difference between like that relationship and somebody that's completely cold, you can come to it with maybe a little bit less context in the individual message to make it sound more personal, as opposed to saying, hey, we're Boundless Media, this is what we do, blah, blah, blah. You don't really have to do that because they already have some context on you.
What type of success have we seen with our own data reactivation efforts? Like, how cost effective is this compared to getting a brand new cold lead?
Yeah, something that we did last week. I think out of like 30 or 40 emails I sent, and they were pretty custom. It took me about an hour to do. We got like 2 calls out of it. So I mean, just from that, and these were people who were like, basically we took our Calendly resources and downloaded all the contacts. So that's another good little hack. Whatever software you use to actually book meetings, and we just downloaded that, cleaned it up, and everyone in the past year I just followed up with, right? Because typically they've run their course, and yeah, so it can be very good, especially for agencies. Now this database reactivation can actually be used as a service too for clients. It works really good for like texting and whatnot, but for agencies it really just depends on list size, the call to action, how much you want to spend, all that. It's hard, we're a newer agency, so we changed our offerings that our clients, when we started we were generalists, so it was anyone. Now it's very specific on agency, so our lists are a lot smaller, so the reactivation that we can do is much more limited, but doesn't mean that we can't do it, right? And usually, right, putting your little systems hat on, this can be automated to an extent. Like I wouldn't automate any hot or warm reactivation with people, but if they've gone cold, it's been like a year. I have prospects that they're in our automated funnel for the next like a year. Like it's awesome. But it's more generalized. So the chances of converting them versus staying on top of mind, that's what you have to consider.
Any other advice we want to leave people with?
If you do it one time and it doesn't work, don't give up. It's like anything else. Like you have to test copy and, do I text them here or do I call them there or whatever that is? Like it's all about testing, right? You have to figure out like what makes sense for you. Like if you sell to older people, right? And older people in their career, right? So let's say like someone who's 60, probably not the best idea to text them. Maybe a call makes sense. So you'll make sure that the medium It goes back to my copywriting strategy: niche, offer, message, and sales. Right? Who's this person? Right? Offer. What do we want from them? Okay. Message. What medium do we use, and what actual words do we say to get them to say yes? And sales, like convert, convert, convert.
Well, that's
I
all
think
the
that's it.
questions
I
I
don't
have.
know. Larissa, do you have any follow-up questions, anything like that?
I mean, I think that this one's actually relatively cut and dry. The whole gist of it is, a lead is never cold until they say, hey, never talk to me again. So if they don't say that, continue to reach out, continue to follow up. My advice again would just be, don't make the messages for these like reactivation campaigns like super salesy and super direct in a lot of ways. I mean, that's going to vary depending on niche and industry and offer and all that. But again, a lot of it is just you want to keep the relationship alive. And that's a huge part of database reactivation, is not necessarily going in for the sale, but going in and saying, hey, it's been a while and I was just thinking about you. I wonder how it's going. Like a message as simple as that can go a really long way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, guys, thank you so much for listening to this. Again, Incentivification is go to our YouTube channel. Versa has a ton of content that's about automation. Justine's posting a ton of these actual like videos on there. Some exclusive content coming there, maybe, hint, hint. So make sure to sign up at getboundlessmedia.com. We have a newsletter. Get Boundless Media YouTube channel. Email me with ideas, nico@getboundlessmedia.com. I feel like Boundless is just amazing today, right? Like we just have so many fun call to actions. But anyway, have a fantastic rest of your day, and we'll see you on the next episode. Peace.